Good morning, everyone, and thank you. The first thing I want to say before I even start the talk is when I spoke to Reverend Harriet and she asked me, what music do you want? Is there any particular music you want? And I said, I know Jack's going to know exactly what I'm going to want and what's perfect. So thank you, Jack. That was absolutely most spectacularly synchronistic and perfect. So speaking of music, going along with that, when Reverend Harriet asked me to come speak, I took it into meditation and prayer and my spiritual replenishment. And this title, What's Faith Got to Do with It, popped right into me. But what popped into me was not just the words. What popped into me was that Tina Turner song. What's faith got to do with it? What's faith but a sweet old-fashioned notion? Because sometimes in today's world, faith is not something that we speak of. We know we have faith. Sometimes faith is just not something that we're aware of, or we even have discussions like when you go out to lunch with your girlfriends, do you talk about faith? It's just something that possibly we aren't always tuned. We might be tuned into it, but we may not speak about it. So one of the things, I'm going to get my trusty notes here. One of the things when I always speak, I like to give a definition. So the definition of faith in the Webster's Dictionary is a belief not based on truth. So faith is a belief not based on truth. And then also in the Bible, I need to let you know I am a metaphysician and have been for over 25 years. However, inside this adult reverend woman you see standing in front of you is a little Baptist girl. I was raised as a Baptist. I'm from a very devout family. We were the family that went to church 6 days a week. And every day we all participated in something, okay? So consequently, one of my favorite books, a book I got the opportunity to learn and read over and over and over, is the Bible. At the time, I didn't realize it was an opportunity. So I looked in the Bible about faith, and I think we all know this statement about faith in the Bible. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. So faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things unseen. Now, we have those two definitions, and also in our Science of Mind textbook, I looked up faith. And faith in our Science of Mind textbook is, faith is a mental attitude that is so convinced of its own idea, which so completely accepts it that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. So just be with that for a moment and just let it sink into you for a moment. Can you read that one more time? Yes, of course. Faith is a mental attitude that is so convinced of its own idea, which so completely accepts it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. So speaking of faith as a good old-fashioned notion, our parents had faith. I may not appear to be a child of the 50s, but I am. And my parents were older, and so they had faith. They had faith. They lived through the Depression as children. And all of our parents in here had faith. Every single one of our parents had faith, or if they didn't, we wouldn't be here. They had the faith that they could get us here, and they had the faith that they could raise us. And all of the ancestors had faith. You know, and we all have faith, unspoken faith. When you get in your car to go someplace and you get on the freeway, you have faith that the freeway is not going to crumble. Actually, when you go outside your door and put the key in your car and go, you have faith, usually, that your car is going to start. We have, as a human race, over the centuries, had faith. However, today, in today's world, in today's modern, fast, complicated world, those are the words that come from me right now, we have a tendency to rely on science. Science is the thing. You know, we all here live right in the pocket of the Silicon Valley, okay, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so sometimes science is given the underpinning of everything, that it's all science. Now, it is science. It is science, as well as our faith philosophy, which has been called science of mind. It is also science in that we have a formula, we use the formula, and things happen. Things unfold, things demonstrate. One of the things that we all use as that scientific formula is science is the spiritual mind treatment that was given to us by by Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes. And also, in this faith philosophy, we have a saying, and it's in the magazine and it's in all the places, as we believe, so we receive, which is a paraphrasing of a biblical statement. As you believe, as you can conceive it, so you receive it. So when I got this, what's faith got to do with it? And I said, so Spirit, what is it you'd like me to share? What is mine to open and illuminate and radiate? And I love it so much when it comes through the way it does, because it comes through just like, it came to me right away that faith is an acronym. Faith is an acronym for forgiveness, acceptance, intention and imaginings, trust, and healing. So I'm going to go through them and then I'll read them again because I know it. Even when Spirit gave it to me, I thought, whoa, that's a lot. It felt like a lot, even though we all know that there is no big and small in Spirit. Whatever it is that Spirit has for each one of us to do, we already are well equipped to accomplish it. So the first part of this is forgiveness. Now, I like to call forgiveness the F word because forgiveness, it doesn't always feel easy. And forgiveness is something that we may skim over the top of and decide that, okay, I forgave them or I forgave that, while we at the same time maybe haven't thought about the fact of what forgiveness is. It is forgiving. It is forgiving of something to oneself or to another expression of Spirit that is also oneself. I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard Reverend Harriet say it, but a lot of times in our New Thought faith philosophy, we say there is only one of us here, that we are all absolutely emanations, unique emanations of the one. So if you forgive someone, you are forgiving yourself as you are forgiving someone. And also, it's important to know that as we forgive, we are giving our life an opportunity to keep moving. If you have resentment or harsh feelings against someone and you decide, I'm not going to forgive them, I'm not going to let it go. They deserve it, I'm not going to let it go. So what's happening here is you're holding up your life. We're holding up our own life because the other person's life is still moving along because life moves along. And so we get an opportunity in forgiveness to free ourselves to grow and to thrive and to move forward because forgiveness is really, truly forgiving ignorance, and forgiveness is also shifting our perspective. So I want to give you an example of forgiveness in my life. I have been a flight attendant at United Airlines for 42 years. And in that 42 years, I've seen ups and downs and ins and outs, and I've seen the airline industry change in ways that I never thought I would. And in the first, 22, 25, 26 years at United, aside from the fact that it was my job and they did pay me to do it, I resented them greatly. I resented the fact that I was on call for 22 years. And what that means is they owned me every day of the month except for the 6 days off that I had. And they could call me, give me a 4-hour call out, and they could tell me where I was going, when I was coming back. And so I resented that because it's kind of challenging to have a life with that. Okay. And I resented that fact because when I finally decided to have some children, it was really hard to be a mom with that. And my daughter is here today, and she could attest to the fact that it probably was hard being the kid of somebody who was on call. I resented them because as a group, the flight attendant group is not treated with respect and honor. That was my perception, in the same way that the pilot group is treated at United Airlines. Now, and the reason I made the comparison was that the pilots and the flight attendants are together. Now, now they have what we used to lovingly call the good old United Chastity Belt. We don't stay in the same hotel. We don't ride together. But in the old days, in the 70s, we were together. We were on little airplanes, and there was like 6 or 7 of us all together, 4 flight attendants, 3 pilots, and we were together. And so we got to know the pilots really well. I have some spectacular friends of mine that are pilots. And the things that they were given and the things we were not given, I was resentful of that. I was resentful of the fact that we generally were treated like little girls there. And it has been pretty much a female profession. I mean, we got men in the 70s, but pretty much a female profession. So for a long time, all this was going on. And in about 1986 or 87 it was, I went to my supervisor and said, I'm going to resign. Here's my letter of resignation. I don't like the way I'm treated here. I am better than that. I have had enough. I have had enough of being treated this way. Now, synchronistically, of course, this was when I found New Thought at the same time. So here I had all these ideas. Okay, I deserve. However, what I forgot was that there was inner work to do, that it was mine to forgive United Airlines, the entity that I called it. I was also in that forgiveness mine to understand and know that I am United Airlines, that I am a part of that family, that it makes me get choked up because I love them. I love it so. I am there doing the things that I do there, and I have accepted the way I have been treated. I have accepted, in my perception, the way that they think of us. Instead of when I did my forgiveness work, when I really hunkered down and got down deep inside it and really got in it and really looked in the mirror and said, I am that I am. And the way that I am treated at United Airlines is up to me. The way I am treated by our passengers is up to me. Because it is who I am and what I radiate that comes back to me. So I need to tell you, this was some very deep forgiveness work for me. It was really hard because it was easier to do this, it's on the outside of me, than to understand and accept lovingly and to know that it is a gift of spirit, that it was inside of me. So, and the reason I get moved by it now, I'm retiring from United sometime this year, and I still love it. And I love my job, and I love our family there. However, it gave me one of my biggest forgiveness lessons. So that is what I mean by forgiveness. Sometimes we think we're forgiving someone, and then other times, sometimes you realize it's time to go inside, get way deep inside, and realize, what is my forgiveness work? Because a lot of times our forgiveness work is about forgiving ourselves first. So one of the things that I have done, just a little quick exercise that you can do, not right now, but that you can do for forgiveness work, and this is from Louise Hay, it's not from me. When you're in the mirror in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth, or when you're in the mirror putting on your makeup, combing your hair, all the things, or shaving, all the things we do in the mirror, take a look in your own eyes and say, I love you, I approve of you, I forgive you. Because once we step into that forgiveness mode, it activates the law. The law says, whoa, yeah, okay, we're going. All right, now let's open up the floodgates. Let's get things going. So that's just a short little forgiveness exercise that you can do. Or you can do it, I have done it a gazillion times in my car. Driving. You know, we all have 2 mirrors in our car that we can see ourselves with, at least right in front of you. So that's the first part of faith, is forgiveness. And the second part of faith is acceptance. So our spiritual mind treatment is actually an affirmation of acceptance. So, you know, in our spiritual mind treatment, we unify, and then we get to the realization part. We have the first 2 steps, then we get to what's called realization. And the realization is where we realize the truth as we know it, even if it doesn't give that human appearance. Okay? So the realization part of our prayer, the prayer treatment that we use, is acceptance. It's accepting the truth and the wholeness and the glory and the might and the majesty of and as each one of us, in whatever phase of our life that we're having a prayer about. This is part of acceptance. It's accepting who and what we are. It's accepting that we are the delight of the divine. That each one of us said, Spirit said of itself, woo, yeah, I get to make something special here. And it is absolutely delighting me. It is magnificent. It is splendiferous. It is absolutely the highest and best of itself. Each one of us. So that's the A part of faith, that we get to accept who and what we are. And in that acceptance, you're probably saying, well, okay, Rev Verona, how do I accept it when things don't appear to be going well for me? The acceptance part is you get to bless the other statements or belief system or feelings, and you get to give thanks for those other emotional systems or beliefs and send them on their way. You know, that's our gift, that's our blessing. We get to do that. In the acceptance phase of faith, we get to say, okay, thanks for coming. Okay, I send you on your way. Okay, like I'm going to give you a quick example in my life. This morning, I did Siri to get here, okay? So Siri is talking to me, and so all of a sudden I said, oh, I don't think so. I don't think Siri knows. So the little tapes inside told me, oh, no, you need to do this. You need to go this other way. And I was able to just stop for a second, breathe it in and breathe it out and say, thank you, doubting thoughts, for coming to me, the nervous thoughts for coming to me. Thank you. I bless you and I send you on your way. Because I know where I'm going, because Spirit in me knows where I'm going, so keep going. So that's a little example of a way for acceptance. So the third letter, I, intention or imaginings. So intend in the dictionary says to have purpose or design. To have purpose or design. And in our Science of Mind book that I'm referring to is our Science of Mind textbook by Dr. Ernest Holmes. It says, the law of mind has no intention for us other than the intention we give it. The law of mind has no intention for us other than the intention we give it. Pretty astounding stuff, huh? So I'm sure you all do, Reverend Harriet and I talked about it, you all do affirmations, yes? Yeah? And do you do an affirmation daily? Maybe? Possibly? Okay, all right. I don't want to put you on the spot. We all know how to do affirmations, and so that's a part of the intention. That's what affirmation is. We set the intention by doing an affirmation, okay? And all the affirmations can come to us from what I don't want, bloop bloop, other side, what I do want. Affirmations. And also, I know Reverend Harriet has taught this, and I can't go by without saying it. And our affirmations get to be in the present, okay? Not I'm going to, or I will, or I have. Our affirmations get to be in the present because that's yet another way that we yet let universal law know it's now. I'm ready. It's here. It's now. It's in this moment. It's not at some time farther in the future. It's right here and right now. And being in the present in affirmations, it just came to me. I was thinking about it. The person who really hammered that into me is Reverend Harriet. Reverend Harriet was my teacher in practitioner training. And in practitioner training, she expanded and grew me so much. That girl, I would go home and say, Reverend Harriet, I can't do this. And she, of course, you all know this, would say, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the things that she really brought home to me. Affirmations are of the present tense. Because every place, there is no place but, and no space but, the now. That's it. We're in the now. The past, over with, future, coming up. Ours is the now. Now, the other part of this I letter is imaginings, and I had the opportunity to read this really wonderful book called The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard. And in The Law and the Promise, Neville Goddard says that self-abandonment and releasing all of our old notions of self is imaginings, which is exactly what we would call setting an intention. So let me get my little excerpt up here. So in the book, it says about imaginings, how do you do it? and it says self-abandonment. That is the secret. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state. And in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. You cannot commit yourself to what you do not love. And thanks, Gloria, in your prayer treatment, you brought up love, and that is, love is an integral part of our intention and imaginings, because we get to do self-abandonment. We get to abandon all that came before, all that we're thinking of that's coming up. We get to be just in the state that is our desire. And do you know that our desires are the desires of spirit? They're coming up, bubbling up from within the heart of God in and as each one of us. So when you have a desire, don't put the kibosh on it. Don't try your best not to squelch it, because it is spirit's desire. And as we all know, spirit can only make this desire unfold and demonstrate through and as you. Only you. No one can do it the way you can. Only each one of us, individually, uniquely, can express and manifest and demonstrate the desires of spirit in our own unique way. So setting intentions and imaginings, our affirmations, and really self-abandonment sounds like such a thrill to me. Like, okay, I get to abandon all of my old tapes, all my past beliefs, all the things I thought from before. And I get to be in that present state of love, the state of love for what is mine to desire and what is mine to do. So the next letter, T, trust. Now, trust is also kind of like the F word to me, like forgiveness. Trust is can be a very scary and harrowing place to stand. And so I don't want to stand up here and pretend that it's not, because it can be, because we all get to trust ourselves, and more importantly, we get to trust each other. So trust in the Bible, in the biblical form, because trust is really a pretty big one. So, of course, I grabbed my Bible. Trust in the Bible in Proverbs 3, verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." Okay, so we metaphysicians know that the Bible is a handbook, allegories, stories for living, so that we are not required to take it literally. So that verse in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart. So for us, the Lord and the law is synonymous. So trust in the law. Trust, the law that is the affirmative entity of the universe, the law that only says yes. So trust in the law and lean not on your own understanding, which is allow the divine within you to come up. Allow the divine within you to be you. Allow yourself to be in the silence. Listen to the still small voice and know that what you hear is spirit whispering in your ear. Spirit whispering words of tenderness and love and joy, intelligence and understanding, faith, creativity, and so much more, whispering it in each of our ears. All we need to do is be silent, be still, allow yourself, give yourself that blessing. So when we use the mind of God within, this is from the Science of Mind, 365 Science of Mind, when we use the mind of God within, the Christ consciousness, we awaken to the law. Now, the Christ consciousness in us is the infinite possibilities. All things are possible. I'm sure Reverend Harriet has spoken about this. I know she knows so much, and she shares so much, and that's the Christ consciousness, that part of us that's anything is possible, the infinitesimal possibilities of spirit. So that is ours to do in trust in the law, and allow ourselves to listen to the still small voice from within. And listening to the still small voice is something that we knew how to do when we were little, like the wonderful kids who were up here. So we get an opportunity to return to that if we're not doing that now. And it is really one of the easiest things we do, because as we allow Spirit to breathe us, as Spirit breathes us, the still small voice is in that, in the midst of that, in the midst of the breath, in the midst of every activity, the still small voice is there. And when you hear the still small voice, when we hear it, give yourself an opportunity to accept it. Because sometimes I must tell you, some of the things that the still small voice tells me, I might go, "Are you sure, Spirit?" You know, I have been a minister since January, and for about 4 years, Spirit kept saying to me, "Verona, Verona, you're one of my ministers. Get out there and minister. Get out there and share your experiences. Get out there and do that. This is why you came here. This is what you chose on Incarnation Day." And I kept saying, "Not me, Spirit." I kept saying, "But Spirit, I'm a flight attendant. I love to fly. How am I going to do this?" Spirit kept saying, "Mm-hmm." And then I would say, "But Spirit, there's no school I can go to because I work these days and I do this." And even 5 years ago when Spirit put it on my heart, I said, "But Spirit, I'm a mom. I have 2 children. I'm so blessed that 2 people chose me to share their journey. My daughter Leah, who's here with her friend, her partner Jermaine, and she has a brother, Alex." And when I was blessed to become their mother, I was pretty old. I was 40 years old. And so I was serious about this. I was serious about everything, and they got to live through that. However, when Spirit was saying to me, "Well, you know, you're a minister. You're my minister, Verona," I kept saying, "But however, no. I need to be a mother. I need to do this. I need to do that." And Spirit kept saying it and saying it and saying it and bringing it up to me and bringing it right here till I finally said, "Yes, I obey. This is mine to do." However, I kept getting it in myriad ways, the still small voice. I would hear Spirit speaking to me. I go to the gym probably about, 5, 6 days a week. I'd hear Spirit speaking to me at the gym, in my music. I would hear Spirit speaking to me, of course, in the night. At 4 a.m., I'd wake up and think, "Why am I awake? I don't have to go to the bathroom. Why am I awake?" And it was Spirit speaking to me. I would hear Spirit speaking to me in so many ways. When my sweet mama made her transition about a year ago, Spirit, and I went to her home. My children and I stayed in her home for her celebration. And as soon as I crossed the threshold, Spirit said to me, "Okay, all right. You are opened up. You are raw and vulnerable now. You belong to me. And you are my minister." And at that point, that's when I realized, okay. So I say all that to say that sometimes the still small voice, you may not expect it in the way it comes. Sometimes it may not come just in your head. It may come from your baby, like your baby that you're holding there. It may come from all sorts of things, so be prepared for that. So onward and upward. The last letter is H for healing. Healing in the dictionary is to make whole or healthy. Okay, so we all are wholeness, walking around, talking, jumping, playing, laughing, working, doing all the things we do. We are all whole right here and right now. It is for us to believe that. And a real quick example in my life, about 2 weeks ago, I had what was called a stomach virus. And I was in the bed and on the couch for 8 days. Now, Gloria spoke to it, and you can probably tell I'm an extremely energetic person. And so that 8 days on the couch was quite a challenge for me. And however, I went to the doctor and she said, "This is the only way you're going to get better. It's going to work its way through you." I didn't get to go to work, and I do love my job. And however, what I got to know is that it really wasn't just a stomach virus. Yes, there was something going on physiologically for me. It was not a stomach virus. What it was things were coming up from within me to be healed. Some things within me about how I show up in relationship were coming up to be healed. Things that I knew were up to be healed. And I kept saying, I'll do that later. I'll journal about it later. I'll do my spiritual practice about it later. Oh, yeah, but I'm going here. I'm doing this. And so Spirit gave me an opportunity to absolutely, positively step into the healing, get myself ensconced in the healing, and do it. Because, as we all know, well, for me, I can only speak for me, television is pretty boring. Movies, pretty boring. Books, after a while, I read 3 books during that time and thought, what else am I going to do? It gave me an opportunity to heal, to heal those things that I magnetized to myself in the lessons of my life for my healing, and it gave me an opportunity to finish that up, to absolutely be with it, to be in the healing, to be in the love, to be in the light, to be in the prayers, to be in the meditation, and to be in the forgiveness of it all. So the H is for healing. When we get to heal, when we get to step into the healing and allow the healing to wash over us and around us and through us and be us and radiate and illuminate from and as us. So once again, faith. What does faith have to do with it? Faith is forgiveness. Faith is acceptance. Faith is intention and imaginings. Faith is trust. And faith is healing. What does faith have to do with it?